Yo, what's up? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today we have got the 2025 NFL Draft quarterback rankings. And we're just going to get right into it. Obviously, you know the drill. It's quarterback rankings. It's the top 10. And at number 10, we have got the Notre Dame product, Riley Leonard, standing at 6'4", 216. Great athletic ability as well at that size. Like we heard all throughout his playoff run and Notre Dame's national championship run, this dude's a leader. He's got the C on the chest for a reason. Marcus Freeman and his teammates both speak very, very highly of him. The media speaks highly of him as well, like Notre Dame's beat and everything. So you're getting a really good football player, a talented football player, and a guy that can help your locker room. He brings a winning mentality to him, a winning culture there at Notre Dame, one that he also was the leader of. So I think that itself will speak highly of kind of what Riley Leonard is about. But Leonard, to me, he's got the traits. 6'4", 216. That is prototypical NFL size. That's what they want to see at the quarterback position. He does have the arm. I wouldn't. He's definitely not the most accurate passer. He's inconsistent. His footwork is at times some of the worst you'll see out there on film. But he's still a good football player, and he can really lean into the athletic side of him. His legs are probably the best part of his game right now. We saw it during the national championship run. Maybe they weren't throwing the ball as much as they could have, but at the same time, when you're as inaccurate as he was, you kind of have to take what you have and work with it. Jeremiah Love, the star running back, wasn't healthy for their national championship run, and they still made it to the national championship game against Ohio State. So, again, that speaks volume to what Riley Leonard did in the playoffs, in big pressure moments in games. You think of the Penn State game where he led them back in that second half to what was a disastrous first half, and then made a decent comeback and ended up winning that game. But like I was saying, he's got the arm talent to make every throw in the NFL. I just don't think, especially as of right now, he has developed into a passer that can, get it to his receiver down in and down out. Is just not consistent enough, which, comes with it. That's why you're seventh. That's why I have him as a 7th round grade. He is actually my final gradable or draftable grade, I should say, quarterback in this class. I only have 10 of them. And to be honest, I feel like I'm being even a bit generous with 10 with this class. It's just not a very good class. But Riley Leonard, I do think, could be drafted. I think probably should be drafted. He could probably end up being a solid backup for you with, again, some athletic upside. And if you can develop the passing game, could actually be a pretty dangerous passer as well. A little dual threat quarterback in the backfield for you to come off the bench in case a starter gets injured. On to number 9, we have the Oregon, Oklahoma, and UCF product. Dylan Gabriel was with the number 1 overall seeded Oregon Ducks heading into the college football playoff. All you hear about is the type of leader this guy is. He's an incredibly hard worker, great teammate. He is a very accurate passer. The reason I have him at 9 is because of the size. I just don't think he has this electric arm or electric athletic ability that can kind of carry him into the NFL game. He did show out in the pro day, or not the pro day, but the combine and the Senior Bowl. I think he looked really good in both of those. Probably one of the best quarterbacks that was there and the most consistent. I can give him that. He is a consistent passer. Really good in the quick game, RPO. Does have some mobility to him. I'm not going to say this dude can't run the football, but he's not, a Kyler Murray. He isn't the passer that, a Drew Brees is. Can he develop into that? Maybe. I kind of have my doubts. I've always been kind of low on Dylan Gabriel. I know some people are a lot higher on him than I am, but the height, I don't even know if he's 5'11", to be honest. He looks shorter than that when he's out there. And I know Kyler Murray looks really short as well when he's out there, but Kyler Murray also has an electric arm that Dylan Gabriel just doesn't really have. Like, he can put some zip on it. He can make some tight window throws. Like I said, he is pretty accurate. But yeah, I just don't know if his game's translatable. I think he could be a really good backup, a good guy to have for the culture of your team, a dependable backup as well. Like, he will be able to come in. He's a super smart player. He'll be able to come in, learn the offense, be ready literally whenever you need him. I wouldn't doubt he put up some pretty decent preseason games when he gets into the NFL. I do think he'll get drafted as a backup to whatever team needs a backup, basically. But yeah, Dylan Gabriel, I don't have much really to say. Like, he does have some decent athleticism. He's had a lot of rushing touchdowns in his career, a lot of passing touchdowns as well, but he also played 6 years. I think it was 6. I think he played 5 or 6 years. I think it was 3 at UCF, 1 at Oklahoma, 1 at Oregon, so 5. Jeez, only if I just counted, I would have gotten to my answer. One of the more prolific passers in college football history, if you want to look at it that way. But again, I just don't know if that's going to translate because of the height and some of the athletic traits, if you will, to the NFL game. At number 8, we have Louisville's Tyler Shough, formerly of Texas Tech and Oregon. He sat behind Justin Herbert for a couple of years when Herbert was at Oregon, then finally got to take over, and then guess what? Injury. Transfers to Texas Tech, and then eventually ends up at Louisville this past year and has a career year. He looked really, really good in Louisville. Obviously, he had a guy in Ja'Corey Brooks that really helped him out. He had 2 really good running backs to take the load off of him as well. But like I said, Tyler Shough was quite impressive, actually. When I keep looking back on his film, and I really like his game. He has got prototypical NFL size. He has got a fantastic arm. Now, he is about 24 years old. I think will be 25, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe he'll be 24 going into his rookie season. So that is a little bit of a concern. He did play 6 years in the college ranks. Now, multiple of those years, he had to redshirt or was taken out due to injury concerns, or just injuries, I should have put it. But I think most of it was lower body. Like, nothing happened that should affect him as a passer, if I remember correctly. Tyler Shough, really, really good player. I think if this dude was, 21 or 22 years old, didn't have the number of injuries that he's had, you'd probably be thinking about him in the 3rd round, probably, and some people still might. I know Mel Kiper really likes him, and some of the other NFL draft analysis, but I got a 5th to a 6th round grade. I do think he could probably be overdrafted just because of the intangibles, the athletic traits, because he is actually a decent athlete. He just doesn't run that much because of the previous injuries. And like I said, has a great arm, one of the better arms in this class as a whole. Could definitely work on the accuracy a little bit, but didn't have a ton of like turnover-worthy plays or anything. Seems to be a really smart quarterback and player. I'll be interested to see where he goes, because I do think he could end up making a run at a starting job depending on where he goes. Obviously, that'll also depend on how he develops in the NFL, but he's got the God-given talents to be a decent NFL quarterback, whether that is as a backup or maybe a low-end starter. We will have to see. But Tyler Shough, people are going to have him much higher than I have him here at 8, but that's because of what he provides just from a talent basis. At number 7, we have Ohio State and national championship winner Will Howard. 6'4", 236, just a tank out there at that size, but does have some decent athletic ability to him. He's got, you could put him into the QB power game, and he will run it pretty efficiently. But what he does better than that is through the air. I thought Will Howard was surgical in the Ohio State playoff run. It seemed like he made every right decision now when you have guys like Jeremiah Smith, like Emeka Egbuka, like Carnell Tate, G. Scott. You're going to make the right decision more often than not because throwing the ball to those guys is always the right decision. It just is what it is. But he was the leader in that locker room. Him and Jack Sawyer were by far the two kind of alpha leaders, at least from what we've heard and what the teammates and coaches have said after that run. So a lot of credit given to Will Howard, especially after that Michigan loss. He played horrible in that game and turned around and said, you know what? We're better than that. I'm better than that. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to prove it. And did he ever? I mean, I think threw one pick in the 4 games that they played on their way to a national championship trophy. That is just ridiculous. I think it was the Tennessee game, the first one. He threw a red zone interception, and that was the only pick that he had. Maybe he had one in the Texas game too, but regardless, Will Howard, I think, is a good leader. He's got an NFL arm. He can make every NFL throw. He's got some plus athleticism to him. A lot of people saying that or connecting him to the Raiders because Chip Kelly is now their OC, his former OC in college at Ohio State. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if he went there in the 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th round to the Raiders. I think that would be a good guy to have as a backup plan to Geno Smith because I don't think Geno Smith is the, world's greatest NFL quarterback. I think Will Howard actually could be pretty comparable to him year 1. And he'd be much cheaper option, obviously. I mean, Geno Smith, you're having to pay a decent amount of money in Las Vegas. But, yeah, no, I really like Will Howard. I think that he could be a average NFL quarterback at some point. I don't know if that is a very likely thing to happen, but, I mean, he was the Big 12 Player of the Year in 2023, comes to Ohio State with a ton of expectations around that roster, and wins him a national championship. So I think that says a lot about where his head is at. He is a ball player. He's got the mental clarity to keep the noise out, and there was a lot of noise in Columbus, Ohio this year surrounding him and the team, and he blocked it all out and put on one hell of a playoff run. So I really like Will Howard. There's also the stigma of Ohio State quarterbacks, but maybe C.J. Stroud broke it, and Will Howard could be maybe not as successful as C.J. Stroud in his first couple years, but I do think could be a solid NFL quarterback. At number 6, formerly of Ohio State as well, Syracuse's Kyle McCord, who put on an absolute clinic in 2024. The hate surrounding this dude when he was at Ohio State, for him to transfer, put that all behind him in just, a couple of months. And in August of 2024, through his bowl game in December against Washington State, go Cougs, of course, he was unstoppable. He had some great weapons on the outside to help him out, but this dude looked like a completely different quarterback. He does have that kind of gunslinger mentality. He's going to make mistakes. The 12 interceptions, you see that on the stat sheet, but you also see it in the film room. He had some turnover-worthy plays. He's going to sling it around. This is a type of guy that, you could compare to maybe like a Nick Mullins, who is going to come up or come behind a guy like as a backup if they get injured, if they just need a spark maybe, if the starter isn't playing that well. He's just going to come out and sling it, and he's really not going to care. Or maybe a Jameis Winston is a better comparison, but I think he has a little bit better decision-making ability than Jameis does. That's why I said Nick Mullins, or maybe like a Taylor Heineke-esque player that is going to come in as a backup. He'll give you some life to the team because he is going to give your receivers a chance at the football. He is going to get them the ball quickly. He can throw it down the field. He has the arm to throw those deep balls and intermediate passes over the middle of the field. I don't know. His anticipation isn't the greatest for sure. He'll have to work on that and develop that trait. But I do think Kyle McCord can be a very high-end backup quarterback, and that is a very, you need a good backup quarterback. Your team can only go as far as your backup quarterback is the saying. And I think Kyle McCord could be one of the better ones in the league over the next couple years. I don't know if he'll ever get a starting job, but that's just this quarterback class. It's just not, the high-end talent is not there. But he does have some talent. Like I said, he's got the arm. He's got a little bit of mobility to him. And I praise the guy for having the ability to mentally block everything out that happened at Ohio State. I mean, people were just on his head at all times in the 2023 season for the Buckeyes, whether it was the fans, students, Twitter, the media. I mean, everyone was calling for this dude's head. I think I even did it once. I just couldn't believe some of the decisions that he made in game when he was with the Buckeyes. Comes to Syracuse with Fran Brown and just, I don't know what they did. I don't know if it was him, if it was the coaches. I'm sure it was a little bit of both. But they got him right. He got himself right. And he had a hell of a season. Set ACC passing records. Big props to the dude. You need some of that, mental strength to play in the NFL because you're going to get the hate. You're going to get those comments that are telling you to go work for Canes or whatever it is. He's got it. He's got it, man. And I got to say, it's pretty cool to see where he came from last year to this year. Just the development in his game as well. He is a way better passer than he was at Ohio State. So, 4th to 5th round grade for Kyle McCord. I think could be a really good backup in the NFL. At number 5, we have got Quinn Ewers out of Texas, for another former Ohio State commit. Never actually played at Ohio State. Well, he did, but he never started at Ohio State. Transfers to Texas with Steve Sarkisian, and the rest is history. I mean, one of the better Texas quarterbacks we've seen in a long time. Yes, he's got his turnover-worthy plays. The decision-making is not always the greatest. He's got some inconsistencies with his mechanics and footwork, but the talent, the arm talent, it's all there. He's got some athletic ability to him as well, but where he shines is as a passer. 65.8% completion percentage is a better number than it has been the last couple years. I think Quinn could actually end up being a starting quarterback in the NFL. It's going to take a team that wants to actually believe in taking a chance in him and developing him as a quarterback in the NFL. Should not start year one. Shouldn't even really think about him touching the field year one. Just let him develop, sit in the film room with a veteran quarterback, maybe one that is on the way out in the next couple years, but you could maybe float in to games that get out of hand or late into the season, maybe in year 2. your team's not doing as well, and you can maybe start Quinn in one of those games down the road. But he's got all the talent in the world. I mean, this guy was a 5-star commit, or a 5-star recruit, sorry, coming to Ohio State and then transfers to Texas. He's got all the talent in the world. He's got the size. The inconsistencies and the turnover-worthy plays are glaring. You saw it in the college football playoffs. You see it in the regular season. I mean, there is a reason why Texas fans and some of the national media were saying that Arch Manning gives Texas a better shot at winning a national championship. Now, I don't know if I really believe that, because Arch he's only played in like 5 total games in his collegiate career, so I don't think you can make that case, because Quinn was still really good. It's just the expectations of what this Texas team had was the national championship. I mean, they were the number 1 team for a couple of weeks this year. I believe they were pre-ranked like 2nd or 3rd maybe in the AP polls going into this year. So all the aspirations were there. Didn't quite live up to it. They got to the semifinals against Ohio State, so still had a decent run. But, I mean, like I said, it's going to take a coaching staff and a front office that sees the talent in Quinn Ewers and chooses to believe in that and actually takes the time to develop him. Don't just leave him, to the wolves almost and just be like, yo, figure this thing out. If you can't, then we're just going to, kind of say like, oh yeah, missed out on that one. Like, take the time, and I think putting the time into this kid could actually very well pay off for you down the line. I have a 4th round grade on him, but do not be surprised if he goes within the first 2 days of the draft. At number 4, a high riser currently, someone who is getting some first-round hype. I can't believe that I'm saying that. I have him as a top 100 player. That is Jackson Dart, the 6'2", 223-pound quarterback out of Ole Miss, originally committed to USC, transfers to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, and you could say had a pretty good career with Ole Miss. I believe he broke Eli Manning's passing touchdown records. A great kid. You hear all the leadership qualities about him. He got better every single year in college as well, so you really like that. I think that is very key when you're looking into these prospects. Like, how do you look on a year-to-year basis? Jackson Dart got better year to year to year. This last year was definitely his best year. He had a signature win over Georgia. I believe that was at home, but also had, a signature loss, you could call it, against Kentucky that completely derailed their season. When you look at the grand scheme of things, I mean, yes, the Florida game, everyone looks to the Florida game. The Florida game where he had the 2 interceptions, basically 3, but 2 of them happened on the same drive. One of them got called back. That accounted for 33% of his interceptions this year in that game. Yes, they were both not great. That just looked like him and the receiver were, a little bit off, not on the same page. Overthrows him, safety picks it. Like, it is what it is at the end of the game. Now, the Juice Wells interception that he threw into triple coverage, I'm not going to defend. But the last one that sealed the game just looked like him and the receiver were not quite on the same page. But that, when you look back at the film, that is not really what happened ever. It seemed like he was always on the same page as his receivers. I mean, he could have just been a little flustered because he literally threw a pick that got called back just 2 plays before that. So I do think he's got some NFL qualities to him to be a starting quarterback. I don't know if there'll ever be qualities that make him a top 12 quarterback or even anywhere close to that elite conversation. Could he be league average? Yeah, absolutely. He's got the arm talent. He is a great teammate, like I said, Lane Kiffin. I mean, constantly speaks about this kid as one of the best guys that he's coached in his entire coaching career. So there is something to that. Lane Kiffin's been around this game for a while, so and I think the interviews at the Combine also went pretty well for Jackson Dart, or else he wouldn't really be getting this first round hype. Because he does have the qualities, he's got the arm talent, he's a pretty accurate passer. Sometimes the base of his mechanics can get a little bit iffy, but for the most part, he's a pretty clean mechanical passer, and he's got some athletic upside. So, you hear all these things, you're like, yeah, of course this guy could be in the first round conversation, but the offense that he's going from at Ole Miss to the NFL translate in no way. I mean, 0%. He is going to have to completely relearn, basically, at least the way I see it, how to process the field as a quarterback, because Ole Miss is super spread out. It's seam routes and seam shots up the sideline, up the middle of the field. NFL offense is just so different. I mean, I really think if you think he will be able to be a starter for you and a plus starter at that, I think he has to sit for the first year. And I mean the entire first year. I could be completely wrong about that too, but that's just the way I see it. I like Jackson Dart. I don't love him as a prospect, all right? But I see the intangibles. I see the talent. I'm not going to disregard that. It is all there. I just think he's really going to have to kind of do a whole reboot in the processing and then start really developing that to his game to be a successful NFL quarterback. So, and some of the best quarterbacks in the league that we have sat for a year. So that might not be the worst thing of all time. But I do have a top 100 grade on him. I don't think he should go in the first round. Will he? I guess we'll see in about a month. At number 3, we've got the Alabama Roll Tide quarterback, Jalen Milroe, captain of the 2024 Alabama team, and had a pretty up and down 2024, you could say. I think he had about 20 rushing touchdowns and only 16 passing touchdowns, but that, I don't know. I don't think he really fit what Kalen DeBoer was trying to do. Now, you look back to the 2023 tape with Nick Saban and the OC then. I can't remember his name right now. But Milroe looked so much better as a processor. I just felt like he saw the field so much better in 2023. Now, he did have to completely learn a much different offense between 2023 and 24. Kalen DeBoer's offense, much more spread heavy, 4-5 wide. Like, they did mix in the run game, obviously. He had 20 rushing touchdowns, and a lot of those were designed runs. But for Jalen Milroe, I believe in the traits. I believe in the athletic ability, because I think when he is on the field, he is the best athlete on the field, period. No one can run this guy down when he gets going in a straight line. Like, his improvisation in the backfield obviously is really good. Now, he doesn't really pass when he gets, into those improvisational kind of situations in the backfield. He, gets out of trouble and usually takes off with his legs, which, to be honest, I'm fine with at the moment. But he does have the arm to make any NFL throw. Now, the mechanics need to be worked on a lot. That is why you see guys like Jackson Dart or maybe Kyle McCord being ranked above him, because his mechanics are just not there really at all. He's got some good outside the numbers, like deep passing. He's pretty good at that, but over the middle of the field is not great. The intermediate and the short game needs to be a lot more consistent than it was in 2024. And you saw some of the troubles at the Senior Bowl as well. But I think if you get this guy with the right quarterbacks coach, with the right offensive coordinator, and even head coach, it could be seriously, seriously dangerous. I love Jalen Milroe. If you've been listening or watching this channel for the entirety of this NFL season and college football season this year, you know that this is the guy that I had as the number one quarterback coming into this season. And I know a lot of people had Carson Beck, or maybe they had Quinn Ewers. I had Jalen Milroe. Because of the athletic ability, because of the arm talent, it's all there. He just needs to develop it. And then the processing comes with that as well. He's got to be able to process, make better decisions with the football. But I think back to the last two LSU games, and just he was the best player on the field in those games, without a doubt. And Jaden Daniels was on that 2023 LSU team. Think about that for a second. That is so ridiculous. Like when he is playing at the highest level of his game, when he is on as a passer, and then you have to worry about him as a runner, it is an absolute problem for defensive coordinators. I mean, he gives them headaches. And this is in the SEC. This is not, the MAC or even the Big 12. This is the SEC. This is big boy football. He was the starting quarterback for Alabama the last 2 years, and that says something. His teammates love him. I think he's got some good leadership qualities. I think he played some of his best games in the biggest games. You think back to the 2023 SEC Championship. He was phenomenal in that game. I know you look at the stats and maybe they weren't all there, but when you look at the film, I think he was really good in that SEC Championship against Georgia, and that was one of Kirby Smart's better defenses as well in 2023. So Jalen Milroe, I have really high hopes for. I think very highly of him. I really just want him to go to the right situation where a team is really going to want to work with what he has, because when you have that want to work with a guy like this, the talent that he has and the athletic upside, if you can get him to be even a 62% completion percentage passer in the NFL, he is going to cause problems for opposing defenses. On to the top two. At number 2, we've got number 2, Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, the former Jackson State quarterback, obviously son of Deion Sanders, who was also his coach at both stops at Jackson State and Colorado. Probably the most accurate passer. No, definitely is the most accurate passer. It's really him and Dylan Gabriel that are up there for that in this class. 74% completion percentage on the year now. They did throw a lot of screens, a lot of underneath stuff, but the playmakers that Colorado had, that is definitely warranted. But he was still really accurate down the field. I think he's good in the quick game. I liked what he did in the intermediate game. I think the intermediate could definitely be worked on. But he's got some really good touch on the deep outside throws towards the boundary. You look back to the first game of the season against NDSU, I can see that ball that he floats up down the sideline on a little slot fade to Travis Hunter, and it was beautiful. And he did that multiple times this year, multiple times last year before he got injured, and I think took a big step up as a leader this year. Yes, he still had after the Nebraska game where he called out his offensive line, but after that, you really didn't hear from him in the media. I think someone probably got to him hey, let's maybe not do that again. Learn from your mistakes and be a better leader within the locker room than having going to the media and trying to make this whole scene out of it. And that's obviously a little bit of a question with Shedeur Sanders is, can he be a leader in an NFL locker room with all the media attention around him and his brothers doing their podcasts and constant recording or filming of practices leading up to pro days. They really record everything. But I do think could be a solid leader. I think he does love the game of football, and that is a very important thing. I don't think that should be in question because he is constantly out there working. Even though he's filming it, he's constantly out there working, trying to get better every single day. Now, does he have the greatest arm in the world? No. He's going to have to really work on anticipation with the football, reading defenses. Like, he's going to have to be damn near elite at those things to be a really, really successful quarterback in the NFL. Do I think he could do that? Absolutely. I mean, if you have the love for the game and you have that want to be the best of the best, which I think he does, you will end up seeing that. I do have him as a top 50 player. I do not have a first round grade on him. That might be controversial, but top 50 player, I think he's around number 40 on my big board. If you guys want to see my big board at some point, let me know down in the comments below. I have a top 50 so far. Haven't really got past that. I'm trying to figure out this top 100 is insane this year. It is so hard to figure out, but for Shedeur, like I said, does not have the greatest arm in the world. I do think he can make just about every NFL throw. But like I said, he's going to have to get really, really good at anticipation and reading coverages, blitzes, and being able to get the ball to the right place at the right time. So I do think he can do those things. I mean, he's obviously been a prolific passer since he got into the college ranks at Jackson State. Almost led them to a championship, I believe, at the FCS level, if I'm not mistaken, his sophomore year. I could be wrong about that, but I do remember them in at least some of the one of the bigger bowl games for the FCS level. But comes to Colorado from Jackson State and completely just takes over that Colorado program. Takes it from being one of the worst in FBS to one of the better ones in this year, almost making the college football playoff. They were basically a game away. If they win that Kansas game, they were in the Big 12 championship game with a chance to go to the college football playoff. So I think that says quite a bit about his leadership, being able to rebuild a program in Jackson State, first of all, at that lower level, and then coming up to an FBS school and doing the exact same thing. So I do think, I think the character concerns have gone a little bit outlandish surrounding Shedeur Sanders. I do think he can be a good locker room guy, and I think most of his teammates have told us that as well. So don't take that for granted. But top 50 player for me, I think will go day one in the NFL draft. I do think will be the second quarterback off the board behind the number one guy. Surprise, surprise, surprise. It is Cam Ward. He is the number one quarterback by far. I have a top 15 grade on him. All the all-around talent in the world. He's got plus athleticism. Just high football IQ. I do think, saying that though, he does have some concerns with the turnover-worthy plays, you could say. We saw it at Washington State. We saw it at Miami this year. Sometimes he just holds onto the ball a little bit too long trying to make the hero play. I think you've really got to tone that back in the NFL if you want to be successful. You cannot always be trying to look for the hero play. However, he is really, really good at doing it. I do think in the NFL, he's really got to work on keeping two hands on the ball in the pocket. At Washington State, being a Washington State fan, go Cougs, I saw all, 25 games that he played for us, I think it was. 25 or 26. I saw every home game. I was at every home game. This dude pops off the field. Like, he looked different than everyone else. Definitely on the Washington State sideline. I mean, the way he carried himself, the way he went about his craft, his play, obviously, was just levels above everyone else on that roster, in my opinion. And that's why he's basically the consensus number one overall pick at the moment to the Tennessee Titans. Is like, he's just a different type of player. And when you're that at the quarterback position, you're going to go high in the NFL draft. Teammates speak super highly of him. Obviously, at the Combine, we heard that he crushed the interviews and when you're a quarterback that crushes the interviews at the combine, again, you're going to go really high in the draft or at least elevate your draft stock by quite a bit. So, not much else to say about Cam Ward. The traits are all there. I think could throw with a little bit better anticipation. Again, you got to cut down on those turnover-worthy plays, but he's just the number one guy in this year's draft. Is that saying a lot this year? I don't know. I still think he would have gone behind the top 3 guys in last year's draft, and then you could kind of make an argument. I think saying that he would have been behind Penix, Nix, and McCarthy, I think that's unfair. Because, for one, people thought Bo Nix and Michael Penix should have gone in the second round. I think you could definitely make an argument that if it was this time last year, Cam Ward actually came out to the draft, you could argue that he could have gone above those guys because of the traits, because of his athletic ability, his arm talent, his improvisational ability that the NFL just loves. When you think of guys like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, like guys and teams are looking for that next guy that can make those types of plays, especially in the big moments. And Cam Ward can do that for you. Had his best statistical season, was a Heisman finalist. He had some Heisman hype at WSU. Let's not forget that. This was not his only good year. All right, he had 2 phenomenal years at WSU. Now, were they the type of season that he had this year at Miami? No, absolutely not. But he got better every single year, I thought, and really proved to be that alpha in the locker room and for that Miami squad. They really needed that too. So that is my quarterback rankings for the 2025 NFL Draft. Hope you guys did enjoy, and leave your thoughts and opinions down below. Who's your kind of maybe sleeper for the this quarterback class? Or maybe you have a different number 1 guy. Maybe you're a Shedeur or a Jackson Dart guy. Let me know down in the comment section below. But thank you guys so much for watching. Take it easy and peace.